Ronnie Coleman is called the king of bodybuilding. He won 8 Mr. Olympia titles consecutively from 1998 to 2005. Ronnie's incredible performances left an unbelievable mark on the sport. Imagine if the king called you a great bodybuilder. Well, that's exactly what happened to Flex Wheeler. Let's see what he had to say after that. Ronnie Coleman's first Olympia win, defeating Flex Wheeler. Digging into the duo's rivalry is a must if you want to understand what such a compliment from Ronnie Coleman would mean for Flex Wheeler. Ronnie started as a bodybuilder after he became a police officer. After struggling for a long time delivering pizzas, he finally bagged a stable job. His colleague persuaded him to start bodybuilding as he already had a muscular body. After pursuing bodybuilding professionally, along with his police job, Ronnie never looked back. Ronnie Coleman's journey to his first Mr. Olympia win was not easy. Despite winning his first bodybuilding competition in 1990, it took him 8 long years to break through as a champion bodybuilder. Ronnie contended in Mr. Olympia for the first time in 1992, but failed to make the cut. It continued year after year, but Ronnie could not even make a top 5 finish. In 1998, Ronnie stunned the world by winning his first Mr. Olympia title, defeating Flex Wheeler by 3 points. The competition was exciting till the very end. Bodybuilding fans remember the final as it happened just a few years back. A video posted on YouTube from the final of the 1998 edition of Mr. Olympia left the fans in a frenzy. They expressed their opinions and excitement regarding the finals in the comments of the video. Flex could have beaten Ronnie if his back was wider, but in terms of detail he matched the standard, wrote a fan. Fans left no stone unturned in supporting their favorite bodybuilder. They expressed how they felt when Coleman won his first Mr. Olympia title. One fan who attended the contest shared his experience with the event. Sharing his experience, he wrote, "I was there at the Madison Square Garden Paramount Theater that night in '98. The entire place was rooting and cheering for Coleman the whole night. He was the winner the whole time, but Flex won the Arnold that year. He peaked at the Arnold and looked soft at the Olympia. He had the best arms, legs, back, and glutes ever that day. Flex never stood a chance." Ronnie's respect for Wheeler. For most bodybuilders, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the epitome of success. He carved a path for younger generations to follow and channelized his interest to become one of the great bodybuilders of all time. However, others stepped up. Winning 8 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles, fans imagined Arnold to play a significant role in Ronnie's stardom. But there was another legend who etched into his mind. To some, he is a myth, while for others, he defined modern bodybuilding. Despite not winning any Mr. Olympia titles, Kenneth Flex Wheeler stays on top as the finest bodybuilder in the sport. Even Arnold mentioned his impact, and Coleman described how he was the best he faced. Therefore, Flex Wheeler deserves special mention. Coleman started bodybuilding at age 24, and he had an all-natural body. During those times, bodybuilders had the liberty to take steroids. For starters, Coleman never used steroids in the beginning. Seeing the advantages, he started taking them as it was legal for bodybuilders to use them. Nonetheless, Flex Wheeler introduced him to various aspects of bodybuilding that propelled him to achieve greatness. He said, "That's one of my best friends in the world. He taught me everything I know." Conditioning went hand in hand, and he became toned more than most bodybuilders. At a time, Coleman kept a body fat percentage of 0.33%. The level on the playing field was apparent as he dominated Mr. Olympia's contests from start to finish. The effect Flex Wheeler had on Coleman was immense. He was a 4-time Arnold Classic winner and had a symmetrical body that was second to none. To add another purple feather to the cap, Wheeler shifted his attention to martial arts after bodybuilding. At his peak, Wheeler weighed 225 to 253 pounds and stood at 5'7". He had 24-inch arms and a 56-inch chest, while his tremendous ability to do splits earned him the moniker Flex. Managing only a second-place finish in the 1993 bodybuilding contest, he won various other competitions. He was a 5-time Ironman Pro winner, 4-time Arnold Classic winner, and has won the France Grand Prix, South Beach Pro Invitational, Night of Champions, and Hungarian Grand Prix. Ronnie Coleman posted a throwback picture of himself posing on stage against Flex Wheeler and wrote one hell of a long confessional in the comments below the photo. To get right to the point, Coleman admits a fact that no one knows about how he became a world record-holding Mr. Olympia champion. That one fact? Flex Wheeler is the only reason that he ever won Mr. Olympia in the first place. He wrote on Instagram, "Flex shared everything he was doing to prepare for these shows, so when I returned back home, I took Flex's advice word for word, and my very next pro show, I won. So I truly credit him for giving me that info that got me on the right track of being a professional bodybuilder was all about. There is one other reason that I won my first Mr. Olympia, and Flex was the only reason I won because of the info he shared with me that I will tell you guys about in another text because this one is already way too long. People cannot underestimate the influence Wheeler had on other bodybuilders. Coleman, a legend himself, understood the ins and outs of bodybuilding from Flex. He propelled Coleman to chase his dreams and reach far greater heights he never imagined. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Flex Wheeler deserves a special mention for his dedication to the sport. Flex for the win. Flex Wheeler's reaction to Ronnie's comments. When he hears what Ronnie had to say, Flex Wheeler is obviously proud and quite happy, maybe even a tinge of emotional. Ronnie repeatedly says that Flex had a better body than him and many others. This must be a great moment for Flex Wheeler, who was a runner-up and battling against Ronnie Coleman for multiple years at the Olympia. The Sultan of Symmetry placing runner-up to Ronnie Coleman at 1998 Mr. Olympia. He said, "Ronnie won Mr. Olympia 1998, and I wasn't really caring because I was so green. But I knew I didn't put everything into it, and I was ashamed of myself. In 98, I was second in the Olympia, and I remember the pressure of being the next in line to win." Despite coming up short at 1998 Olympia, Wheeler and Coleman harbored no ill feelings after the show. He said, "Ronnie is posing and his back has more muscular than mine, and I'm looking at his lower erectors, and I'm like, wow, his back is more muscular than mine." We end up taking a taxi back together. Ronnie won the pose down round and the posing round, and I understood that was the only way he could make up the points and come and get me. I remember Ronnie making kind of eye contact with me before the match, but then we just went and did our battle. I went over to Ronnie and whispered in his ear, "Congratulations, I love you," and he said, joking, "I'm not going to be at your party tonight." And I went back to my party. I was more proud of myself, said Flex Wheeler. Ronnie outworked Wheeler. It's no secret that Ronnie Coleman has superior genetics for bodybuilding, but that alone isn't what made him one of the most legendary Olympia champions of all time. It was his hard work. He didn't rely on his genetics. Instead, he tried to train harder than everyone in the room. He succeeded and became an 8 times Mr. Olympia champion. In an interview, Ronnie Coleman opens up about his genetics, his work ethic, and how he combined the two to become the best in the world. Ronnie admitted that he has great genetics, but he didn't let that give him an ego or help him relax. Instead, he trained harder. If his genetics gave him an advantage, then his plan was to double that advantage by working harder than every other competitor. Ronnie Coleman's hardcore lifts are well known. His insane genetics are also well known. But to hear Ronnie Coleman explain just what it took to combine the two to achieve his greatness is enlightening indeed. He also acknowledges that other competitors of his time had certain advantages over him. He believes that Flex Wheeler has the greatest genetics in the world. This includes being better genetically than himself. So what gave Ronnie the advantage? He worked harder, or at least Ronnie Coleman believes he did. He thinks that he was able to outwork Flex. Ronnie thinks he was able to outwork nearly everyone. It's hard to argue with that statement when you see the results. Many fans in bodybuilding consider Ronnie Coleman to be the greatest bodybuilder of all time. He's also only one of 2 competitors to earn 8 Olympia title wins. That's all for today, folks. See you next time.